Hey guys, this is Hell Hades, and this is going to be a really different video. This is going to be a video about a topic which has got a lot of stigma around it. I want to talk about the awareness of mental health, specifically with content creators, but I also just want to I guess, reinforce that with the fact that I deal with some people close to me in my life that actually suffered quite badly with mental health issues. Not in a kind of similar space to this, but actually when you realize how hard it is for someone that's suffering with mental health issues to do things that we would find very easy, very basic, like picking up the phone and talking to someone, or just booking a kind of basic thing in life, you realize it can actually really massively affect people. So within content creation, then look, let's be honest here. I'm doing a job which for me is like my dream job. I'm playing video games. I'm sharing my experiences with a lot of people. We've got a great community and we have a lot of fun with it, okay? But also, it's one of the most testing jobs I've ever done. And I've done big boy jobs, okay? I've worked in director roles. I have had to, on a weekly, daily, monthly, whatever basis, report back to CEO, board of directors on projects, on big multi-million pound contracts. I've had to talk about the good and the bad. And when it's bad, sometimes it's horrendously bad. I've had to manage teams of sales professionals who are either performing great or massively underperforming, and deal with everything that comes alongside that. So have I been in stressful work environments before? Yes. And yet I've never had a role, anything like content creation, affect me in ways of affecting my sleep patterns, affecting the way I'm kind of concentrating on my kind of general day-to-day stuff, because you're kind of always side focused on what's going on with your content. And it's a real genuine issue. It's a genuine issue that some people that perhaps don't have the same sort of walk of life that I've had, where, I've actually got a bit sturdy against stigma or negative vibes. And some people would massively, massively struggle with the kind of day-to-day of being a content creator. And, really in this role, you have to be fresh. You have to come up with those new creative ideas all the time. You have to be spot on with your information or you get picked apart. There's this kind of feeling around, should a content creator be the pro? Certainly in gaming, should I be a pro gamer? Should I be the best possible player at the game? Or actually, is it an entertaining platform? And if it is, you get the people that borderline between the two that don't appreciate what you do. So there's always going to be this kind of up and down side of what we're doing. Some of you may be like, well, look, if you're doing well in this type of job, you're going to have cash that comes alongside it. So you're probably doing pretty well financially. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't face mental health, not necessarily issues, but strains, I would say. So let me give you a couple of examples. So I'm just going to talk through some of the biggest streamers or content creators out there who have been pretty public around issues that they've had. Asmongold, massive streamer from World of Warcraft, actually took about a month break earlier this year because he got to a point, I actually watched his kind of comeback video, and he got to a point where he actually wanted to do other things. He didn't just want to play World of Warcraft. He'd been doing that for years, wanted to introduce different games to his streams, wanted to introduce different content. And because of the kind of kickback from his community, he just couldn't make it work. And in the end, he got to this kind of melting pot and was like, even though he's super popular, really doing well in what he does, he had to take a break. And he took about a month's break. Pokimane, one of the biggest out there as well. Super, like, tons of respect for what she does, actually, in terms of building her brand, the way she is able to develop her followers, her viewership, the way she's able to bounce from different games, but still, takes a month off due to burnout. And this is kind of what you see a fair amount with some of the larger streamers or larger content creators, or people that have been doing it for a long time. And this kind of burnout, I get where that comes from, because honestly, you're uploading new things every day. Generally, if you're doing well at this, you're doing it daily. And, you've almost got that panic, that fear of, if I take a break, what happens to my business? where is it? If I take that week's holiday, where am I in a week? Do I have to kind of start building it up again? And it's a genuine concern for content creators. There's actually two, which I'm going to call out, shocking things that happened relatively recently, in terms of streamers actually taking their own lives, which is, you don't want to see it in any walk of life. But again, hugely popular streamers that just couldn't cope with either the pressures of what they were doing, or obviously they've got personal things going on as well. But, Reckful and Olana, both relatively young, both in the same sort of fields, and, it does affect people in different ways. So I guess it's one of these kind of issues which, as I say, the words have got a lot of stigma. There'll be a lot of people that watch this video and say, you know what, you've got the perfect life. What are you talking about? But actually, there's some genuine challenges that come alongside being a content creator in today's society. So at this point, I'd just like to invite Chosen onto the video. I've invited him along just to give his thoughts, his viewpoint. He's been doing content for a lot longer than I have, actually. And it's always interesting to get a different opinion, a different kind of, different point of view for this type of stuff. So Chosen, thanks for coming on. Here's his thoughts.
Hey, what's up? Chosen here. Shout out to Hell Hades. Thank you for including me in your video. I appreciate it. Always happy to share an opinion and be a part of a video that you are making. But yeah, in terms of a day-to-day struggle for me, I would say probably the first thing that comes to mind is how, when, and why to allocate my time. As a content creator, you don't really have anybody laying a schedule out for you. You don't have a boss saying, do this and be here at this time. So when you wake up in the morning, you have like 10 things you want to do. You want to do a collab with this person. You want to live stream this game. You want to try out this new thing. You want to work on this on the website. You want to meet with this person. And so you're always being pulled in 10 different directions, and really trying to decide and allocate what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and why you're going to choose that. It can be a difficult situation because a lot of times you want to do everything, but you just can't because you don't have the time. So probably making that choice of where and what and why your time is being allocated, I would say, is the toughest day-to-day struggle for me. Then in terms of a struggle with the lifestyle of being a content creator, I would say it's probably the lack of in-person human interaction with people that get it. Because typically we know a lot of other content creators, but it's digitally. So you don't really have that in-person interaction like you do at a normal job where you're at a workplace with 100 other people that you can talk to, you can hang out with after work, you can talk about the struggles you have in common. You don't really have that in content creation. Like most of my friends and family, they don't really relate or get what I'm doing. They just kind of nod their head. Oh, that's cool. Okay. But there's really no one in person that you can confide in and talk about maybe some issues or some thoughts that you're having, because people, they just don't tend to get content creation in general because it's not like that normal career path. So I would say the social bubble in terms of the lack of in-person human interaction with people that understand where you're coming from was a difficult thing for me to adjust to. But every job has its pluses and minuses, and all in all, I love doing content. I'm super passionate about it. So none of that is a complaint. It's just things that maybe come up in the thought process of adjusting to doing content creation. So, hey, shout out Hell Hades. Thank you for including me. I appreciate you.
So look, again, appreciate Chosen coming on, giving some of his points of view. I guess really now, let me tell you how it affects me on a day-to-day basis. I guess, how does this affect me? What does this do to me on a day-to-day basis? Well, honestly, I'd say I'm pretty thick-skinned. I'd say I can deal with a lot of things. But it is interesting, like even for me, whereas I used to go into the main Discord for Raid, which is my main game, on a daily basis, now I basically don't venture there. And the reason for that is, I've made mistakes along the way on my videos, and everyone becomes a critic. But when you get those mistakes pulled up time and time again in your face, and it's actually pretty demoralizing, and it gets you to the point where you're fearful. It's like, did I make a mistake today? Was there something wrong in my video that obviously I don't mean to do it? It just happens. But it genuinely can affect you if you've got this kind of whole barrage of, I can't believe you said this champion was the wrong affinity or whatever it is. So, it can affect your kind of day-to-day interaction. One of the things which, when I was pretty new to this, so I did this interview with somebody in the game, Cirilla. This was over a year ago now. I was relatively new into content creation, and the game that I play, Raid, They basically approached me and said, "We want to get a message out. Will you do an interview?" And I was thinking, great, what great exposure. This is going to get me a load of views. This is going to be a great video. And let me just show you this quickly. So this video, for me at that time, got a shocking amount of down thumbs, dislikes. And I had not experienced this before. Okay, so 33-ish% of the feedback was negative. And if when I was reading the comments, it was just kind of like shocking. And honestly, I barely slept that night. I'd only been doing this for 3 months. I was at the point where I was giving up my main job to do this full time. And I was genuinely scared. Have I just ruined my channel? Has that one video, which I thought was going to be a big kind of a way to throw me into the forefront, has that actually just set me back a long way? Because I was inexperienced at doing this. And that's the sort of feelings that people go through when you get this kind of mass wave of dislike coming through. So likes versus dislikes, I know it's a very small measure, but actually it's a genuine concern. And that plays out as well. I'm a gaming channel. I follow a specific game for the majority of what I do. But the actual game that I follow, Raid Shadow Legends, I've got no control over how they manage their game. And if they get to the point where either their game starts to dip and it becomes less popular, or the player-based mass exodus because they just don't feel like the game's being managed properly, I need to, in terms of managing my career, I need to have like a forward goal. What would be the next thing that I could do? And this is something that plays on the minds of a content creator, I would say, all the time. What's my security? Most jobs I've ever had, I've got a massive security blanket. Even if you're made redundant, you get some sort of security blanket from that. But in this type of world, it's literally a case of some things are out of your control. I do videos on other games now and then. Most of my videos will get somewhere between 95 and 99% up thumbs, likes, and lots of comments. I do one video on a different game, and similar to the video that I just talked about, I get this wave of dislikes, and I can't believe you've done this video on your channel, and that just kind of affects people's mental state when they're thinking, wow, what if the game I'm currently doing content on goes under? What if the game that I'm currently focus my energy and my life on actually just dives? Where does this channel go? Where does this career go? And if this is the feeling, then it's actually kind of difficult to manage emotionally. And that goes the same for like comments on videos, So when you get this raft of hatred comments or actually kind of personal attacks, it's really difficult to manage. Some of those comments can be really personal. Some are just just basically they dislike you as a person. Fine. What I really would love to see, and I would actually just kind of ask anyone who's deciding to leave a comment on anybody's videos, it's not a plea for me. This is actually just like a human interaction here. Just think for a second before you decide to write that comment. Is what you're writing something that could be constructive? Is it a build on what that person has done, their work? I'd say if it's not any of those things and it's really negative, just move on. Just move on. Just decide not to comment or not to try and affect that person's mental state today. I'd just advise it because honestly, what do you get from it? To the point, I've actually got a good example with this. So recently there's been this kind of talk about some accessories I got in a game. And I just got barrage of comments, blah, blah, blah. Loads of kind of comments. I can't believe it. You're a cheater. They don't know the context of actually what's happened. So they kind of just form their own views. Now, I had tons of these comments in a day. Then somebody was genuinely asking me, oh, what's the deal with these accessories you got? And then I tore back at them. And I shouldn't have done that. But I just had it up to here with the same silly comments throughout the whole day. Now, that person actually got an earful from me, and you know what? They shouldn't have, and it was unfair on them because they weren't party to all of the previous context. Yeah, so actually, as far as they're aware, this is the first time anyone's ever mentioned it. And, you know, my response was completely unacceptable as well. So you get to the point where a build-up of these different things can actually just make you explode with the wrong type of reaction when you're in this kind of public eye. And I think the last thing I'd call out really is we've actually got, as a group of content creators within my community, a really good vibe. We chat a lot in the background. We share some funny things that we see. We share some ideas as to help each other grow. But you know, when you get somebody who's like a negative creator versus you directly, it's like a direct, almost like a vendetta. And that could come from a number of reasons. You know, they might be trying to use your size, your scale to help them grow. So almost like picking a fight with a big kid might make me be more visible, or they might genuinely just have a dislike to you. Fine, people don't like everyone, but what it does is it creates a kind of toxic environment where it's not just one person disliking someone else. What actually happens is their fan base, their viewership decide to take up the mission, and they decide to actually become far more toxic or I guess confrontational than the original person that started to make these comments. And actually that's where it can be really tough mentally, because all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of people that are trying to actively either ruin your content, ruin your flow, ruin your videos, ruin your streams by supporting the person that's kind of started this. So all I would say is, look, I wanted to bring it to people's attention. This job, as I said right at the start, is a dream job for me. I still love doing it, and I will do it for as long as I can. But there's a lot of challenges that come alongside it, and I'm hoping that this video will just share some awareness of some of those challenges that do come. And perhaps if you're thinking of being negative or harsh or what have you, just maybe rethink the way you're going to do it. Because it's not the easiest thing in the world doing this job, guys, even though you might think it is. Anyway, look, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's a bit of a different style to normal, but I just wanted to sort of share some thoughts, some experiences in what is a mental awareness week in the UK. I've been Hell Hades. I will see you later.